Joining me this morning is Doreen Kanyes Jechisache. First of all, congratulations.
On what?
On getting married.
Uh-huh.
You are here on the show like when we were just starting.
Yes.
Yes, that's...
So, yeah, marriage is good. And with a baby. What more could I ask
Look
for?
at you.
Look at me.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This was something that was out of this world. In a layman's question, I think the way we ask, what the hell is neuroplasticity?
So, I mean, the whole word seems so, glossy and all, but it's very simple. Neuroplasticity, as the word, connotes, it's just really the plasticity, the plastic nature of our brains. The plastic nature of our brain, the malleable nature of our brains. What does that mean? Until the 1980s, the general idea was that our brains could not change. The general idea was that you were born, during the prenatal period and up till about 20 years, that was the only time span, the only window you had within which your brain could actually grow. Yeah. That was the general idea. Yeah. But now with the technology advancement, the MRI scanning technology, the PET scans, they've now identified that, you know what, our brains can actually change. And it's really a no-brainer. Here's the thing. How old are you, Brian?
Jesus.
Let's just say you're 60 years, Brian.
Oh, my goodness.
Now that you look, let's just say you're 60 years. If your brain did not have the ability to change, if the structure of your brain did not have the ability to change, that would automatically connote that you'd not then have the ability to learn a new skill, to have a memory. Because in order for you to put together a memory, in order for you to learn a new skill, your brain structure has to change. Yeah. So basically, neuroplasticity means your brain's ability to change and adapt to your environment, your thoughts, what you say to yourself, what you do. So every time you say something such as, I am great, and you say it with passion, when you say that, your brain actually emits what they call electromagnetic signals. And they're then transmitted and stored as an emotional memory in what they call, I'll show you the picture in a bit, in what they call the deep limbic system. It's really an emotional memory that is stored. Yes. So basically, whenever you do something, whenever you act in a particular way, your brain changes structure. Your brain adapts to what you're doing so that it can then enable you to accomplish whatever it is that you're doing. So
or even adapt to this new thing that you have probably declared. I'm great. So
yes, I'm great. So basically the whole dogma in regards to the fact that your brain cannot change, that's where the old adage in regards to, you cannot teach a dog old tricks came from. Yeah. So that adage is wrong. And that's excellent news for us people.
Yeah, that's
what that
awesome.
means? That means that our future, our destinies are not in our genes' hands, not in the government's hands, not in anyone's hands, but we have the ability to identify enabling habits, enabling thinking patterns that will enable us to achieve our goals, and then take them, adopt them with the aid of this neuroplastic nature, the plastic nature, the malleable nature of our brains, and be able to incorporate them into our lives and be able to achieve whatever it is we want to achieve.
Right.
Yes.
Awesome.
Makes sense to you?
Makes a lot of sense. Brilliant. Is that the same explanation that you have, for example, with if someone has done the same thing for 60 years plus and they cannot change, what happens to their brain? What's going on?
So basically, if you try to do something for 60 years and nothing has happened and you've not changed. And
I'm glued to the fact that I'm just like that, that's who I am, nothing will...
So that basically means that your brain structure has not changed. You've not applied enough effort. I'm going to go into this in a little bit. You've not applied enough effort, enough resilience, enough practice, enough persistence for your brain to take whatever you want to do and to incorporate it into its very nature for you to be able to, take on a new habit.
So how do I help my brain transform to that place?
First of all, Brian, in order for the viewers to really attain a lot of benefit out of this talk, it's imperative that we then zero down this talk to at least one attribute. Because neuroplasticity can be used to attain anything, change behavior, change your habits. And within the habit sector, there's a couple of habits we can be able to change. So today, allow me to focus on then how can you as brand, let's say brand, you're persistently negative, you're a very pessimistic person. How can you then as brand adopt an optimistic nature?
Yes.
How can you do that? Is it possible? What if in your family you have a very long line of, very pessimistic people, the whole family line is just really,
We're always looking for the bad in
always the bad.
The good.
Your brain is always scanning for the bad. Then how can you as brand come out and step out of that whole family lineage and then adopt a very positive nature and be the light to your family? First questions first. Why is being positive important?
If for the past few years I've been seeing negative and it has worked for me, why do I need to see positive?
Before I take you into the nitty-gritties of how you can actually, transform your brain to be more positive, why is it important for us to be positive? Why? So then countless studies have been done. And they've actually researched about why it's important for us to be positive as people. One such study is the Harvard Business Review study. So they did a couple of studies and they found out that, optimistic people are generally, obviously, happier and more productive. And why is that? So there is such a thing as psychological capital. Psychological capital. What do I mean by that? As the word imputes, psychological capital. So it's the capital that is in your brain, that is in your psyche. So by psychological capital, I'm talking about things such as your resilience levels as brand, your efficacy, call it confidence levels as brand, the amount of hope that you have, your optimistic abilities as brand. So that is a psychological capital, right? So now they found out that people who are optimistic generally have a greater amount of that psychological capital. And right now in the personal development industry, employers have then realized that, it's not enough for us to train our employees in regards to things such as, how can you handle a client? How can you do this? It's important for you to build that inner reservoir of your people.
Right.
Because when you take your people through a training, and say you hit a snag, the person hits a snag the next day, or they lose someone, or they go through a very difficult time, what they're going to tap into is not what you told them about how to handle a client. They're really going to tap into the hope, the optimistic abilities, So basically, in a nutshell, being positive is really pertinent to us, achieving our goals and, achieving our dreams, so to speak.
It's key to our survival.
It's key to our survival. And Albert Einstein once said that, the thinking, the circumstances that are around us have been created by our thinking. And they can only be changed through our thinking, which obviously then, results into our action. So it's you thinking positive first. It's you thinking that, I can do this. And then going out and doing whatever it is you can do.
All right.
Yes. So then, can I?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
So then, let's go then into the nitty-gritties. How do our brains, first of all, in order for us to be able to appreciate how we can be able to transform our brains from negativity into being more positive, we first of all have to first understand how does the brain, process information. How did the brain in the first place process that negative thought, which you thought over and over again to the point where you made it a habit, and you then became a very pessimistic person. Our brains, if you go to the first slide, yes, our brains are made up of up to 100 billion neurons, okay? Now, neurons are the information processing centers, information processing centers of the brain, okay? So, information processing centers of the brain, right? Let's say you wake up in the morning and you want to adopt, are we okay? Okay. Let's say you wake up, let's say you're the kind of person who has to adopt a particular amount of, body weight by, say, May.
I've been trying to work on this.
Long way to go, dude. Just kidding. Anyway, so let's say you want to adopt, you want to have 6 abs, a flat tummy by, say, December 2015. You have to be specific. So when you have that goal, right, and you wake up in the morning and say, I have a 6-pack, and you say it with passion, that's what we call a positive affirmation. When you say that, the neurons, those information processing centers, hear what you've said, okay, Now, one neuron communicates with another neuron, which then communicates to another neuron up till, you know, what we call the deep limbic system. So they transform what you've said and convert it into what we call a construct, into a mode in which they can actually store it as a memory in the deep limbic system. Now, if what you're saying requires you to then go out and act on it, you know, I work out every day, you know, so the brain processes that through the neurons, and the neurons then send that command to where? To whichever part of the body is responsible for you acting on what you've said.
Okay.
So if you wake up in the morning, let's talk about the negative aspect, and you say, I'm a loser. And you say it with emotion, I'm a loser. Look at my family. Look at what we've achieved so far. We are losers. Now, the more you say that, the more your neurons hear what you're saying.
They register.
Take that information and store it in the deep limbic system. So that's pretty much the same way in which you can actually take that very same system and be able to form a very positive mentality. Right. So, just give me a minute.
Okay.
Yes. So, any questions? Are we okay so far?
I'm good. I'm good. Now I'm thinking, what you say now, people should probably view it in the sense, like if you say I'm a loser, then you know something is going on in your brain. You're not just saying the word.
You're not just saying it.
You can't even now say, oh, it was a joke.
You can't say that. But because here's the thing, Brian, if you've made a very profound point. Your brain cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. It can't tell the difference. That's why when you're watching a horror movie, okay, your brain will actually emit the sensations of fear. Because what the brain sees connotes that, you know what, you're actually in that situation. So it's imperative for you to, you know, take stock of what you're saying. What are you saying? No, it's not a joke. You know, I mean, with no offense, I usually hear people say, hey, to food day. Dude, don't say that. You know, the brain actually takes whatever you say, processes it, and the more you say it, the more it actually takes what you're saying and stores it as an emotional memory.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So now that we know how the brain actually functions, how the brain takes what you're saying and stores it, you know, how then can we change our brains? How then can we become more positive? Number one, identify the area within which you want to change yourself. Say, for instance, you want to become more positive in regards to your relationships, be more positive in regards to your career, to your health, to your body image, whatever it is. You have to be very specific, and here's why. Here's why. You know, our brains have what we call the frontal lobe. At the front of our brains, at the forefront of our brains, there's what we call the frontal lobe. Now, when you are specific, Brian, and say, you know what, I'm going to achieve this goal, I'm going to be more positive in this area by this time frame, okay, your frontal lobe is activated. The frontal lobe, at the front there's also what we call the prefrontal cortex, which is within the frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is activated by virtue of you being specific and you being focused. That's why very successful people will tell you it's imperative that you are very definite about your purpose and what you want to achieve. Because when you do that, you activate the frontal lobe and the prefrontal cortex to then garner all the resources in the brain to help you achieve your goal. Here's the thing. Let me give an example. If you wake up today and you say, you know what, by this day, by this time, I'll be driving this kind of a car. Let's say, Range Rover Sport.
Yeah, there's a particular car I want to drive, like, by the end of the year.
Cool,
My frontal lobe, send that somewhere.
Yes. So here's what happens. Here's the amazing thing, and I think you've, identified that. When you are specific and identify what you want to get, it's in that particular moment that, say, you're driving, say, from Kamocha to here. You then, if any, Range Rover Sport passes, you will notice it. And here's why. You've activated your frontal lobe. You've activated your prefrontal cortex to be able to identify the things that will help you achieve your goal or the things that you want.
Look at that. Now I'm thinking about the many cars that I've been looking at. And this is scientific. It has nothing to...
It's not just, oh, I'm just here to motivate you. No, no, no.
Yeah.
That's how your brain works.
Yeah.
Yes, that's how your brain works. So everything that very successful people have told us can be proved by virtue of how our brains work.
Right.
Right. So the first step is be very specific. What area of your brain, what area of your life do you want to change? Sorry, getting very passionate. That's how about
do it. Let's go.
What area of your life do you want to change?
Right.
By what time frame? Second thing you have to do. Number 2, identify the reasons for wanting to change that area.
You don't just change. You
Don't
don't
just
just
say,
want. I just want.
Why? Why do you want to have a 6-pack? Okay, why do?
Do you have to? Is it that obvious?
Okay, you know. Okay, seriously now. So, Brian, why do you want to say increase your income by say 20 million shillings this year?
Right.
What are those reasons? It could be things such as I'll be able to provide this and this for my family. So here's the thing. Those reasons have to have an emotional aspect appended to them. And here's why. The emotional state, any emotion attached to a goal, is a fuel to the brain. Okay? When you have a goal, which is then very emotional to you, whenever you wake up in the morning and say, I am making 20 million shillings by this date, and here's my plan, and you have all those reasons, I'll be able to buy, health insurance for blah, blah, blah. State them. With that emotional aspect, the brain uses that emotion as a fuel to make you even more focused on achieving whatever you want to achieve.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we together so far?
We are together.
Okay. Now, the third thing we have to do. Oh, how much time do I have?
We have about 5 minutes. Just hit it.
Okay,
Hit it.
okay, okay. So then you've identified the area you want to change, right? You have attached an emotional reason. It has to be very emotional. Why are you going to change it? The other thing that you have to do, is to what sports psychology calls, what we all call visualization. There is such a thing as visualizing your way into achieving your goal. And this is an area that sports psychology uses a lot. So you find that elite sportsmen like Michael Jordan, Michael Phelps, Tiger Woods, actually, Wayne Rooney, before a game, they actually sit back, and envision the court, wherever they're going to play, how they're going to, dunk the ball, whatever it is they're going to do.
You must build this.
Yes, and here's why, Remember I told you that your brain cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So when you think about yourself in this situation, you earning 20 million shillings more, you buying health insurance for your family, you going on vacations, whatever it is, you imagine it in specific, bits. Your brain, the neurons of your brain, take what you're imagining, and communicate.
And send to another, and send to another.
And then store that emotional memory.
Right.
They store it, as if it has actually happened. And here's what that does for you. So sports psychology says that when you do that, you create that inner confidence. You override any form of self-doubt that you could have had. You create that inner confidence that, what, I can actually achieve this. And here's why. You've already created an emotional memory, which is actually stored in your deep limbic system in the brain.
So, you must find out why you're changing, what you're changing.
First of all, find out what.
What you're changing, why you're changing it.
Yes.
And then
visualize.
Build this. I always like some people say I'm too dramatic, right? Because even when they tell me action, you're on air now. Like I've already seen that. I feel like there are things that I do now and I've already seen them before.
Yes.
They've happened and it feels like it's a deja vu.
You've actually created
that. Yet I've visualized something before.
Yes.
Okay.
That is why they say we are the masters of our own destiny. Our destiny is not in the hands of the government or any person, but in our hands, So now, the last part of the puzzle, there's a couple of them, but I'll just focus on this because of time, is the action part. You have to act. It's not enough for you to visualize and just, go into the thinking mode. No, you have to act, So you visualize.
Which is the hard part usually.
Which is the hard part, but when you do the rest of these other things, whatever you've done will actually enable you to get that oomph to actually go out and act.
All right.
You know, so you have to act. It's one thing for you to say, you know, I have 6 abs by flat abs by say October this year, and you're stuffing yourself up with KFC junk every day. So your brain will then, you know, notice the disconnect, and your prefrontal cortex and the frontal lobe won't aid you in achieving whatever you want to achieve. Yes.
And I think I've done a lot of that.
Yes.
Doreen, for someone who is watching now and probably has had, you know, a series of these, you know, they do everything and then things just fall apart at the end. Tell them quickly, a quick summary of what you want to, what they should do.
Which camera? This one? This one?
That one.
I need to speak to their heart.
Yes. Right there.
So listen. Whatever it is you want to achieve, obviously you need to identify what you want to achieve. What do you want to achieve in your life? When you do that, it's imperative for you to understand that, you know what? All you have to do is identify the enabling habits, the enabling behaviors, the enabling thinking patterns that will enable you to achieve your goal. So when you do that, apply what you've learned today. Apply the neuroplasticity of the brain, and consistently, persistently, it takes persistence for you to build a habit, for you to build a way of thinking. So take that enabling habit, whether it's waking up early, going to work early, whatever it is, take that, apply it, and believe you me, you'll then create the habit to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. So the destiny is not in anyone's hands. Your destiny is in your hands, and you have full responsibility to achieve your goal in spite of what you've, you know, encountered, you know, through life.
Doreen,
so
I want to bring you back.
Bring me back.
Yes, and we do this again.
Yeah.
Doreen Kanesije is her name.
Chisache.
Chisache.
Hello.
On Facebook, are you Chisache?
Hello.
We'll look for Chisache and, you know.
Yes, yes. Yes, I am.
You updated to Doreen Chisache.
Well, no, my official page is Doreen Kanyesije Chisache.
Okay.
Yes.
Look for her, ask her all the questions that you want. Of course, here, I will promise you, we'll bring her back. We need some of this. We need to spy each other on, all right? You are the master of your own destiny.
Yeah.
Coming up, we're going to look at the people who are definitely masters of their destiny, the leagues across the whole world, and of course, a focus also on the fight of the century, Pacquiao Mayweather. That's coming up on the Sports Update.
In this fight.